Why Bentonville? Why Arkansas? Right? It's gorgeous. Arkansas, when it comes to rural renaissance and clean energy, has very deep roots. Chris Ladner, who is here today, who's going to be sharing a session this morning, was a part of what was one of the very first low-income focused energy efficiency programs in the country, with leaders here who convened together from USGBC and from the Clinton, Bush, Katrina recovery effort, from rural Montana, from all over the country, including a woman named Martha Jane Murray, who started one of the first. It was essentially on bill, but it was offered through people's places of employment and to give people who didn't have access to the dollars to improve their homes with energy efficiency, people who didn't have access to financing, the ability to make the kind of upgrades that would create good green jobs. It was all about jobs back then. We're talking late 90s, early 2000s, which is 20 years ago now, getting started right here in Arkansas. And implemented at one of the first rural electric cooperative utilities to take a lead in this work down in Ouachita. We really wanted to bring the roadshow to Arkansas to honor Arkansas's history of leadership. So I'm incredibly grateful to be here and have some of the leaders who really helped to make that happen with us too. And I also want to acknowledge Luis Bernal, because ultimately it was a program he helped to build at USDA, RESP, because it's not energy if it's not an acronym, which is enabling other small utilities across the country to get the same kind of good stuff done.
The Inflation Reduction Act, that's the investment du jour or du decade. But this is building on a long history of investment. In 1930, 2.1% of farms here in Arkansas had electricity. The New Deal then brought massive government investment in rural electrification, bringing these communities into the 20th century. And now, nearly 100 years later, the IRA is ushering in a new day for our nation and for rural America in particular.
We're in the midst of the biggest investment in rural power in America in a century, which is a part of the biggest investment in American infrastructure, jobs, manufacturing, you name it, in a long, long time. Maybe more than any of us will see in our lifetime. It's a generational level investment.
Just kind of wanted to take a step back and maybe kind of go through all of the both rural investments and the rural initiatives that this administration has undertaken, because it's really vast, and I think it's important, especially at this moment in time, at this juncture, as we're implementing so many of these programs and resources, to kind of take a look at the totality of this.
Rural America is a very special place. It punches way above its weight in terms of protecting our country and feeding our country.
And coming from a small town and working in a lot of small towns, those dollars are incredibly important to the places that we live and the places that we love and the people that we love and the communities that we serve. But when you're from a small place that's maybe kind of under-resourced on a good day, you don't necessarily have the expert who can write the grant to go get the money. You don't necessarily have connections to the technical capacity building support that you need to be able to bring the best of a program that works in the District of Columbia to rural Mississippi. And oftentimes, with love to our federal friends in the room, the folks who are trying to get good things done and writing the policies and writing the laws don't necessarily understand how differently the markets that we serve may be structured.
It's really exciting to be in this position, in this moment, as a native Iowan, native of a rural community. And to work and serve a president, vice president, and an entire administration that's really focused on what we can do to provide for both rural communities, underserved communities, to create equity across communities. And
is really about making connections, right? Sharing ideas, sharing programs that work, sharing information, and sharing people, right? Sharing relationships that can help to inform the ideas that we want to bring to the communities that we work in. And then it's also about bringing the resources. Where are the dollars? Where is the funding? Where is the financing, the venture investment, all the different stuff that goes into the capital stack to be able to actually get stuff built? Where are the ideas and partners who can help us make sure that the dollars are really going into supporting local, small, minority, and woman-owned businesses so that we're creating a more inclusive and expansive and abundant and diverse economy and opportunity and asset building and wealth building, all the wonderful things as we're implementing these energy programs too.
We find ourselves in a very, very tight place these days in terms of what's happening to Mother Earth, what is happening with the children, what is happening to humanity around the globe.
I would just highlight, for me, it's really all about using what I know how to do, which is energy and sustainability, in the geeky stuff, wonky stuff that I know how to do, to live out my faith, to love our neighbors, love my neighbors as myself through our energy systems, and ask every day, how would our energy systems, how would our economic systems look very differently if that love, if that sense of community were really at the core.
The IRA, as has been mentioned, and this is where my community development heart is particularly warmed, focuses investments in places, right? It's industry focused, but it's also about places and communities and workers that have been left behind by economic changes, manufacturing losses, and lack of investment in decades past.
And we heard last night from Robert about the way that the Walton family, who have not only built Walmart, but helped to build a thriving, flourishing local economy here and across the home region, through their love for community, help bring that same spirit to the extraordinary flourishing that we see here.